Hello, welcome to another episode of Tiny Nest. I'm Kiva.
And I'm Jake. This series is following our tiny house project from the early stages through to completion and beyond.
This episode is part 2 of our windowsill installation. Now that the trim pieces are cut, Jake's just giving them a quick sand by hand to take out any marks and scuffs, and so the clear coat can go on smoothly.
We use this clear coat product on the windowsills, and I've covered the entirety of the pieces to make sure that it can't take on moisture from like underneath or anything. And then on the surfaces that are gonna show, there's several coats to give it lots of protection against moisture and to give it a nice finish. I'm cutting strips of sill gasket and taping them to the undersides of the pieces, and then I'll show you how it'll affect the installation. So I'm going to put all the pieces in now and show you what I'm doing. Okay, so the sill gasket, because it's sort of a foam material, meaning it can compress, but it's also got some pressure trying to, foam back out to its shape, allows me to wedge things a bit better. So because I'm not like an expert woodworking finisher or anything, and these seams are important to make them nice and tight. If I were to rely entirely on the precision of my cutting, like the pieces going right up against the wood, just the rough framing, hard against that, and then these pieces having to fit in hard against each other to make a nice tight seam, we did it with some bad results because I'm just not good enough to make that happen. So this sill gasket is actually a bit of a cheat where it's constantly pushing back to close up any gap. So the result is that I just have to kind of wedge it in and work it in, but those seams will have the pressure against them to keep them tight, and there won't be any play, and I won't be fighting the pieces when I'm trying to position them with the nail gun and everything. It's going to work out well. And then of course the additional benefit is that there is a tiny bit of a thermal barrier. So this one's actually particularly tight, so I'm just pushing against the pressure of the sill gasket and just working the piece in, trying not to scratch, obviously, the finish that I put onto the pieces. So even without any nails, they're actually super tight, but that's good because it helps me just kind of tweak everything and sort of creak it into position, and then I hardly even have to do much. I don't need 3 arms to hold the thing and line myself up and use the nail gun and everything. I can just ram them in, and then the nail is just like kind of the finishing touch. Okay, I've tweaked it to make it just right, and what I'm making sure is that from piece to piece it's as flat as I can make it, and then also I'm checking it to make sure the pieces aren't twisted, and also that they're up tight against the window as possible. So it looks really good even without any, I didn't even put the nails in to lock it down. So I'll take a couple of pictures to show you just how tight it is, how well this method has worked for me so far. Alright, now I just need to nail it down. I have a little block of wood I've been using as a spacer for where to put the nails, just so that they're visually about the same distance from all the corners, so that they're not all over the place and unsightly. I'm just putting 2 nails into each piece, and I did a bunch of test firing with the gun through scraps to make sure that depth was okay, and that I just knew how the gun was going to work before I went ahead on this nice finished stuff that I've been carefully preparing. But that's it, yeah, here we go. if I didn't mention it, they're just 1.25" brad nails, Sill finishing nails. And I've got the depth set such that like there's always a little bit of variation just based on the spot on the wood that you're going through. So I've got it to err on the side of driving it just short rather than overdriving it, because the little driver, if I drive too far, the driver will actually strike the wood and put a bit of a divot in it, and then you can't really fix that. So I'd rather have to go through and tap the heads down a little bit than have a permanent divot in the wood. So there's a couple spots where I'm going to have to knock it down to the little nail set. So I'm going to do that to finish it off, and then this window will be done. I basically just drive it until I can't really feel the head of the nail. So something about the way that this one was sitting when I nailed it was such that when I went to pound the head in with the nail set, it actually shifted the piece and twisted a little bit. So I'm going to try to kind of knock it back into place, see if I can't right it a bit. So I'm going to try this. Alright, that's about as good as I can hope for with my expertise in the subject, which is 0. So I'm going to call that one close enough, and I think it's going to be fine for the trim when it goes on, and the seams are acceptable to me, and all the nails are down and not really noticeable. So there we go.
If you want to see some of our previous videos, click on the preview tiles, and subscribe if you want to follow our progress. You can also visit our website here.
Get it where I need to go.